The dust was a fine red powder that clung to everything, a perpetual sunset smeared across the domes of the Martian outpost. Kalen had been staring at the seismic readouts for so long that the gentle rhythmic pulses had started to feel like a lullaby. They weren't natural. No tectonic shift, no meteor impact, produced a beat so perfectly regular, so hauntingly deliberate. It was a heartbeat, deep within the planet's crust. He finally pushed back from the console, his joints complaining. The chronometer glowed 3:47. The outpost, Resilience, was deep in its artificial night cycle, the corridors empty and silent save for the hum of the atmospheric processors. He made his way to his quarters, the red dust gritting under his boots, a constant reminder of the world outside their fragile, pressurized home. The door hissed shut, sealing him in the small, Spartan room. He was about to pour a measure of recycled water when a voice, soft and layered like wind over sand, stopped him. "It sings to you, doesn't it?" Kalen spun around. A figure stood by the reinforced viewport, silhouetted against the twin moons, Deimos and Phobos, hanging in the black sky. She was tall, her form seeming to shift and settle like dunes in a slow wind. Her skin had the texture of polished basalt, catching the dim light, and her eyes were pools of molten copper, swirling with faint, intelligent light. "Who are you?" Kalen's voice was a dry croak. His hand edged toward the emergency panel on the wall. "This is a secure level." She tilted her head, a gesture that was both alien and deeply curious. "Secure from whom?" "From anyone not on the crew manifest." He tapped the comms security too. The panel went dark, its soft glow extinguished. His words faltered. "I have asked the station to be quiet for a moment," she said, her tone not hostile but patient, as if explaining something simple to a child. "There is no danger here." He stared, his mind scrambling for a rational foothold. A stowaway? A hallucination born of fatigue and the endless red dust? "You're not from Resilience." "No," she agreed. She took a step forward, and the air in the room seemed to grow denser, warmer. "I am from the song you are listening to. The planet's deep hum." Kalen shook his head, a sharp, dismissive motion. "That's seismic data. Low-frequency resonance. Geology." "You perceive it as vibration," she said, moving closer to his terminal. She didn't touch it, but the screen flickered, the jagged lines of the seismograph smoothing into elegant, flowing scripts that looked like ancient cuneiform etched in light. "We perceive it as language. You are not measuring tremors, Kalen. You are reading a story." He felt a cold dread trickle down his spine. "How do you know my name?" "Because you are the first one in cycles to truly listen." Her copper eyes held his. "Long ago your people and mine were not so separate. You walked under red suns and understood that a world is not a resource but a living memory. But you forgot. You looked to the empty skies and forgot to listen to the ground beneath your feet. You began to see life as a chemical accident, not a conscious choice. So we receded. Became the bedrock, the deep places. Why reveal yourself now?" he whispered, the scientific part of his brain screaming in protest even as a deeper, older part of him resonated with her words. "Because you are digging again," she said, her gaze drifting to the viewport and the vast, barren landscape beyond. "Not with shovels but with intent. You are trying to seed life here, to terraform. You are weaving new biological patterns into the planet's song, but you do not understand the melody. You are creating a chorus without a conductor." Kalen thought of the algae vats, the engineered lichen, the grand, desperate project to make Mars breathe. "Terraforming is our only chance for survival." "Survival, yes," she said, her voice softening with a profound sadness. "But at what cost? We once did the same. We reshaped worlds to our will, bending biology until it broke. We created life that consumed its own creators, not out of malice, but because we gave it hunger without purpose, form without soul. Our gardens turned to deserts, our cities to dust, buried under the very soil we sought to command." The silence in the room was absolute, broken only by the frantic thumping of his own heart. "So you're here to stop us?" "To guide you," she corrected. "To remind you that this world is not a blank slate. It is a library. Its history is written in the strata. Its consciousness is the slow, patient hum you detected. You have a choice. You can learn the song before you try to change it, or you can drown it out with your own desperate noise." He looked at her, this creature of stone and fire, and felt a terrifying, exhilarating vertigo. Why me? Because your heart beat in time with the signal, she said simply. You leaned in to listen when others only glanced at the data. You opened a window where others had built a wall. Kaylin glanced at the screen, the alien script still flowing. What happens now? That is your decision, she replied. You can purge this memory. Attribute my presence to isolation fatigue. Or you can record what you have seen, what you have felt, and try to make your people understand. He gave a hollow laugh. They'll never believe me. They'll say the dust got to me. Or worse, they'll have me decommissioned for jeopardizing the mission. They will not believe, she agreed, her tone not unkind. Not at first. But the song will grow louder. Others will hear. The choice is whether your species will be a respectful guest in this library or a vandal. He looked at her, truly looked, and saw the millennia of solitude in her molten eyes. Will I see you again? Not as I am now, she said, and her form began to lose its solidity, the edges blurring like heat haze on the desert plain. But when you are in the deep gardens you wish to plant and you feel a resonance underfoot, a harmony in the growth, you will know I am there. He reached out, a futile, instinctive gesture. Wait. Her voice was an echo from a deep canyon, layered and fading. Remember, Kaylin, a world is not a stone. It is a story. Be careful what chapter you write. Then she was gone. The air in the room snapped back to its normal consistency, cool and sterile. The terminal screen flickered and returned to its standard seismic display. The comm panel glowed back to life. Kaylin stood rooted to the spot, his pulse a wild drum in his ears. He checked the chronometer. Only 90 seconds had passed. A minute and a half that had shattered his understanding of the universe. His hands trembled as he called up the raw seismic data. It was all there, the same steady pulse. But now, buried in the subharmonics, was a new, complex pattern, a delicate filigree of information woven into the planet's heartbeat. It was a signature. He recorded everything, every byte, encrypting it with a code he alone knew and buried it in the outpost's deepest archives. For the remainder of his rotation he said nothing. He performed his duties, monitored the terraforming algae, and wrote reports that spoke only of geology and chemistry. But when the relief ship arrived and he returned to Earth, Kaylin resigned his post. He used his savings to fund a small, private research institute, focusing on exobiology and planetary resonance theory. His peers called it a romantic folly. One evening years later he was in his private study, the lights of a terrestrial city sprawling outside his window. A console on his desk, linked to a public seismic feed from Mars, suddenly bloomed with a familiar, elegant script. It was a single looping character. He had spent years studying the patterns from that night and he knew this one intimately. It did not mean hello or goodbye. It was the first symbol in a story. It meant, the listener has returned. And though the room was empty, the air around him felt warm, and carried the faint, comforting scent of sun-baked stone after a long-awaited rain.